What is the biggest takeaway of my presentation today? There's dozens of trends and a number of critical issues that are putting upward and downward pressure on the economy. You can then take those trends and project them forward, and it gives you a better idea of what's ahead. Because uncertainty and volatility will be with us for quite some time, and there's a great deal of misinformation out there. So today's presentation, we looked at a dozen trends that impact economic growth, what types of risks exist, and how best to eliminate those risks. The question of tariffs is a very complicated question. We've got a number of trading partners that don't always play by the rules. But if you take a look at the steel and aluminum tariffs, here's the problem. By bumping up tariffs in those areas, you benefit the 140,000 workers that are in steel and aluminum producing industries. However, there's 5.5 to 6.5 million workers that are in industries that use steel and aluminum that will be hurt by this. And overall, that puts downward pressure on our gross domestic product. And when you implement tariffs or quotas, you bump up the price. And when you bump up the price, consumers and industries purchase less. They also then, in turn, will hire less or even increase layoffs. Now, I understand with the Chinese, for example, you'd like to change Chinese behavior. Well, by bumping up tariffs, for example, on Chinese products, the Chinese are very likely to save face. And in doing so, they're very likely just to bump up tariffs against U.S. products. So that just evolves into a trade war where nobody wins. The best strategy, I believe, would be to work with our allies, the Canadians, the Mexicans, the Europeans, our friends in Asia, and coordinate a cohesive strategy and a response where together we put pressure on the Chinese to change behavior. And I think that is more likely to work and benefit all of us in the long run. When NAFTA was implemented on January 1, 1994, we didn't have a thriving e-commerce industry. In fact, service exports were not nearly what they are today. So there's a number of improvements we can make in NAFTA. And NAFTA has already been updated 11 times since it was implemented. So there's a whole number of things we can do to improve upon the existing agreement. However, taking an adversarial or hostile position, I think, has real negative consequences. Now, if the president's intentions are to loosen up the Canadians and Mexicans to improve their level of flexibility, I understand. If that's a starting negotiating position, I understand that. However, if the intention is actually to implement some of these policies, then I think it hurts the Canadians, the Mexicans, and very importantly, it hurts the United States. What is the impact on labor? What are the trends in labor? A major trend underway is this. We've incurred a skills deficit for quite some time, and as the unemployment level continues to decrease, this skills deficit will only become more severe at all levels, at the highest level, at the Silicon Valley level, at the R&D level, at the medium and the low level. So I'm a proponent of increasing, not decreasing immigration. Immigration is the lifeblood of America. And if you look, for example, at Silicon Valley, half of the lead technicians or CEOs are foreign-born. And in the US, we have a population growth rate. A lot of that is due to immigration. In many countries in Europe, they have a negative growth rate. Germany, Italy, Russia have negative growth rates. That means they have fewer consumers and fewer producers. And this brings down gross domestic product. That's not a good thing. So the policies that the president's talked about, I believe, are actually opposite of policies we should be implementing. U.S. universities attract the best and the brightest that the world has to offer. We then educate those students and we send them home to compete against us. In my opinion, that's a failed immigration policy. We want students to come here, then stay once they graduate, invest, hire Americans, start new businesses. And very surprising to many, immigrants actually have lower incarceration rates than native-born Americans. They actually have higher entrepreneurial rates. So of course you've got gangs and things like that that you'd like to keep out. And there's a lot of undocumented immigration that needs to be addressed. But overall, we need more immigrants, not fewer. And immigrants at all different skill levels. Or U.S. companies, if they can't find the skills they need, they can't grow. And if they can't grow, does that mean they've got to move to Bangalore, India, where skills exist? So the bottom line is the aluminum and door manufacturers have to pay a great deal of attention, day by day, hour by hour, on what's happening in Washington, and really reassess their supply chains and pay particular attention to this because it's volatile and the uncertainty can be damaging. Being here in beautiful sunny Lake Tahoe, California, it's heaven on earth. This is the most beautiful location. Thank you very much for inviting me.